Hear that? Same chords, but the second version just sounds so much more sophisticated and colorful. The difference? 7th chords. If you've ever wondered what the hell a 7th chord is, why they sound so good, and how to use them in your playing, you've come to the right place. My name is Rogan, and in this video I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about 7th chords. So in this video we're going to take a look at what exactly is a 7th chord, the types of 7th chords you should know, how to build those 7th chords, where they sound good, and some killer chord progressions that are going to make you sound awesome. Let's start with the basics. A regular major or minor chord has 3 notes. These notes are the first note of the scale, the third note of the scale, and the 5th note of the scale. When we're looking at a 7th chord, all we're doing is we're adding one additional note, the 7th note of the scale. Shocking, I know. So to our C major chord there, we added the 7th note of the C major scale being the B note, and we created a C major 7. But this is where it gets interesting. There are different kinds of 7th chords depending on which triad you start with and which 7th from which scale you add. Don't worry, I'll break it all down. The point is that 7th chords as they are, color in your music and make them sound a little bit less black and white. We very briefly need to touch on intervallic theory before we continue. Intervallic theory is simply the name for each interval between notes. If we move up 1 semitone from our root, we get a minor second. 2 semitones is a major second. Move up 3 and you get the minor third. Move up 4 and you get the major third. Move up 5 and you get the perfect fourth. Move up 6 and you get the diminished fifth or the tritone. Move up 7 and you get the perfect fifth. Move up 8, you get the minor sixth. Move up 9, you get the major sixth. Move up 10, you get the minor seventh. Move up 11, you get the major 7th, and move up 12 and you're back to the perfect octave. There are 5 different types of 7th chords, and these change based on which triad you're starting with and which 7th note from which scale you add. Firstly, we've got the major 7th chord, and this is made by taking a major triad and adding a major 7th to it. Major 7ths sound dreamy, jazzy, and ethereal. They're notated by major 7ths or a little triangle with a 7, and are commonly used by John Mayer and Norah Jones. Then we have the minor 7th, and this is made with a minor chord plus a minor 7th note. Minor 7ths tend to sound more relaxed, thoughtful, and smooth, and are notated with min 7. These work great in R&B, jazz, and soul. If we take a major triad and add a minor 7th note, we get a dominant 7th chord. Dominant 7ths are named as such because they dominate. They're very tense and unresolved and are trying to pull us back to home. They're notated by just a 7 and are the staples for blues, rock, and tons of pop music. We've got a half-diminished 7th, and this happens when you take a diminished triad and add a minor 7th to it. The half-diminished 7th sounds very dark, mysterious, and quite jazzy. It's notated by a half circle in a 7 or as minor 7 flat 5, so it is a minor 7th with just a flat 5th. It also shows up a lot in jazz as the 2 chord in a progression. Lastly, we have the fully diminished 7th. So if you start on a diminished triad and add the diminished 7th, which in intervallic theory is the major 6th, or you can think of it as 1 semitone down from your minor 7th, you end up with this. The fully diminished 7th gets used more than we realize. Think James Bond. This is a very dark sounding, mysterious, and unresolved chord. It is notated with a full circle and a 7 and leads very well into our home chord. Theory is great and all, but where do these actually sound good? I'm going to show you some real-world applications. What you just heard is a staple in jazz music, especially the 2-5-1 chord progression. It sounds very emotive and it leaves a lot of room for melody lines to be played over the top. For the modern R&B sound, major sevenths and minor sevenths are your bread and butter. Now for my favorite way of using seventh chords, pop music and rock music. So in rock and pop, seventh chords add variation and sophistication without turning the music into jazz music. This is done very subtly. The Beatles love to do it. Think of songs like Here Comes the Sun, Creedence Clearwater Revival did it, and there is a load of more modern examples today with pop. People like Bruno Mars, Ed Sheeran, etc. So before we wrap up, here are some practical tips to using seventh chords. First, you don't have to replace all the chords with seventh chords. Use them strategically just to add some color. Second, start with the easy shapes. Don't worry too much about playing every single note if it's too much of a stretch or too difficult to play. Remember, music is about what sounds good, not about perfect theory. Third, listen to how they resolve. Dominant sevenths are trying to move us somewhere, where major sevenths and minor sevenths are just there for color and variation. And finally, experiment. What I would like you to do is go and take your favorite song and change some of the chords to seventh chords and see how that sounds. In the next video, we're going to look at how to find chords out of a particular key and how to create sevenths out of that as well, so that we can make sure that the chords we're playing sound good together. Well, that's your crash course in seventh chords. You now know what they are, how they're built, and where to use them. If this helped you out, strum that subscribe button for more guitar theory that actually makes sense. Drop a comment and let me know what your favorite seventh chord is. Are you going to try working these into your playing?